John again from LakeHickoryScuba. Got another quick video lesson for you. We're going to look at the Scuba Cylinder and exactly what it does for us while we're underwater. So every time you go on a trip and you pack your gear, you're going to have some type of container, whether it be just a bag, a suitcase, or a storage box, whatever, that you pack your gear in. Now, depending on the capacity of that container, it's going to depend on how much items you can put in it or how much you can take with you. Well, the scuba tank is pretty much the same thing. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to store air for us that we can take underwater with us, and that way we have air to breathe while we're underwater. Well, depending on the capacity of the tank, it's going to determine how much air we can put in and take with us. It's also going to determine how long we can stay underwater. This is just a standard Luxford 3000 psi aluminum 80 tank. Now, when you hear sizes, like this is an aluminum 80, that's basically 80 cubic foot of air that's being compressed down into the tank. And the tanks come in all different sizes. You have anywhere from a 3 cubic foot spare air up to 130 cubic foot still high pressure. But the 80 tends to be the most common type of tank that you're going to see out there. Let's look at the features real quick. At the top, you're going to notice that I have just a basic yoke style valve. Now, the valves come in either yoke or den. I'm going to have a turn wheel. The orifice where the air comes out, you notice I'm going to have an O-ring. Now, that's an important feature of this tank. The O-ring allows the first stage of the regulators to seal to it, and you want to always make sure and check it before you dive to make sure that O-ring's good. On the side of the valve, I'm going to have a burst disc. Now, what the burst disc does, it is there, so basically if the tank becomes overpressurized, that burst disc will go before the tank blows. So it's kind of a safety feature. On the inside of the valve here, there's another O-ring which seals the valve to the tank itself. Now, the basic body of the tank, at the top, I'm going to have a bunch of numbers and letters. And what those numbers and letters do is, first of all, it tells me who regulates the tank. Well, basically this says DOT, which stands for the Department of Transportation. Sometimes you'll see CTC, Canadian Transport Corporation, whatever it may be. I'm also going to have the type of tank. This happens to be an aluminum tank. And it's going to have a working pressure. The working pressure on this one says 3,000. Come on over, I'm going to have a serial number. I'm going to have a manufacturer's name or manufacturer's number. And then I'm going to have a manufacturer's date. This tank was manufactured in August of 2012. Now, this date is very important to us because every 5 years we have to have these tanks rehydroed. Now, a brand new tank like this one, it's going to be good for 5 years from the date of manufacture. Then you're going to have to send it off to get it hydroed. Once it's hydroed, the hydro people will put another stamp on it. That'll be good for another 5 years. Moving on around, I'm going to have the capacity. Once again, this is an 80 cubic foot tank. And then one thing that's very important also, this tank here has just been recently biz also. Once a year, you got to have your tank visually inspected. Basically, we're going to take the valve off, look down inside it, make sure there's no corrosion or anything like that. Alright, this particular tank also has an accessory or a tank boot on it. That's going to allow, if I set it down a little bit too rough or something, it's going to allow the bottom to be protected and it's not going to damage the tank. It's very important after so many dives, I simply take a little rubber mallet, pop this boot off, and allow it to drain. Now, this boot does have some holes in the bottom. However, some holes are not big enough, and you're still going to get some water trapped. So it's important every now and then to take that tank off, or the tank boot off and allow it to drain out. So guys, that's the Scuba Cylinder. Just like our suitcase stores our gear, this is going to store the air that we need while we're underwater. So we want to take very good care of our equipment. This is probably the most important piece of equipment we have to have with us, because without this, we're not going to have any type of air. So as always, guys, check back next week for a new video, and we appreciate your business.